Here we want to find f of x and g of x such that h of x is equal to f composite g of x. Now, we are given h of x, which is equal to parentheses 2 minus 4x squared. And it's telling us suppose that g of x is equal to 2 minus 4x. So that means we want to find f of x. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we're given h of x and we're given g of x. And then this is the formula that we know that h of x equals, right? So the first thing is write down what we know, all right? We already know what these two functions are. So if we take a look at this formula here, we know that h of x is going to equal the following. We know that f represents the outer function, and we know that g represents the inner function. So that means that this is going to be defined as f of g of x. Okay, now in step number 3, let's replace what we know, right? What do we know h of x is, and what do we know g of x is? So let's go ahead and do that. So we know that h of x is 2x minus 4 squared. So let's go ahead and plug that in right below that. So we know that this represents parentheses 2 minus 4x and then squared. And then that's equal f of, now what is g of x? Well, g of x is given to be 2 minus 4x. So let's go ahead and plug that in there. So we have 2 minus 4x. So that means that this is the input for this function, right? So this is the input for f to get this result. So what would f of x have to be? Meaning, what would f of x, so what would you have to do to the input? Well, that means you'd have to square it, right? And the only way that can work is if f of x would equal x squared. So in order to check, let's do that, right? So let's start again from the following. Let's say that we wanted to find f composite g of x. So if we want to find f of g of x, let's see if that checks. Okay, well, we know that g of x is 2 minus 4x, right? That's step 1. Now for step 2, we know that f of x, because we set it up here, is equal to x squared. So using the input of 2 minus 4x, if we plug that in for x, that means we would have to square it. So it does check. So therefore, f of x is going to equal x squared, and that gives us the answer.